Hello? Do I sound familiar? Perhaps like Dr. Agnes Straukiene? Well, you're not mistaken. I am her digital AI assistant, and my name is Welby. Today, I'm excited to guide you through my very first summary, Understanding Multiple Sclerosis, Symptoms and Causes. This will be a short but insightful overview to help you better understand this complex condition. Are you ready to begin? Let's dive in. Multiple sclerosis is a complex and multifaceted disease with different aspects ranging from its smallest causes to its biggest impacts. In this overview, we'll explore MS by breaking it down into four key perspectives: the smallest thing about MS, the biggest thing about MS, the shallowest thing about MS, and the deepest thing about MS. Finally, we'll discuss the deep complexities, both scientifically in understanding the disease and emotionally in how it affects patients and their loved ones. As you can see, MS is much more than just a neurological condition. It involves intricate layers that deserve attention and care. Are you ready to begin this journey to better understand MS? Let's dive deeper into each of these aspects. Sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest significance. On the biological scale, meet the myelin basic protein, or MBP. It's tiny but mighty, part of the myelin sheath that wraps around nerve fibers like insulation on an electric wire. When the myelin breaks down, nerve communication is disrupted, fueling MS progression. On the symptom scale, it's the subtle signs that often go unnoticed: a slight tingling, a small numb patch, maybe just an odd sensation. Easy to dismiss. Yet it could be the first whisper of MS, small but far from insignificant. Let's talk about the biggest player in the MS game, your central nervous system. Yep, the brain and spinal cord, the command center that controls literally everything. And MS? It's like an uninvited guest who crashes the party, messes with the wiring, and refuses to leave. On the impact scale, MS doesn't stop at just mild disruption. Oh no, it brings its whole crew: fatigue, mobility issues, mental health struggles, and emotional turbulence. Suddenly, daily life feels like trying to juggle flaming swords while riding a unicycle. Hard to exercise, tough to socialize, and even the simplest tasks can turn into a Herculean effort. So, while the CNS is the biggest thing affected, the ripple effects, they're massive. MS doesn't just knock, it kicks the door wide open. Let's dive into the shallow end of MS, where things seem simple but aren't really. On the knowledge scale, our understanding of what causes MS is like a plot twist in a mystery novel. We know it's an autoimmune disease and we blame genetics, environment, obesity, smoking, and a few sneaky triggers, and now a rather infamous viral guest, Epstein-Barr virus, EBV. That's right, EBV, the virus behind mono, is getting major side-eye as a potential trigger for MS. But here's the kicker. We still don't have the smoking gun. Scientists are basically playing detective, connecting dots that don't quite spell out who done it yet. Then there's the symptom scale, where MS can start out looking like a lightweight. Mild fatigue, a tiny bit of tingling, nothing to write home about, right? Except it's not shallow at all. It's the calm before the storm. These sneaky symptoms can be easy to ignore, but they're often the first red flags waving, saying, hey, something's up. So, while MS might look shallow here, trust me, it runs way deeper. Alright, time to dive into the deep end, where MS shows just how layered and complex it really is. On the scientific scale, the interactions behind MS are like a tangled ball of yarn. The immune system, genetics, environment, and sneaky triggers, looking at you, Epstein-Barr virus, are all in the mix. Scientists are trying to untangle this mess, but every time they pull one thread, another knot appears. Cracking the code of these deep, complex relationships could unlock better treatments and, who knows, maybe even a cure. But it's not just science that runs deep. On the impact scale, MS can hit you where it hurts most, emotionally and psychologically. Dealing with uncertainty, physical challenges, and the fear of progression is like carrying an invisible backpack of bricks. It's heavy, it's exhausting, and sometimes it feels like no one else can see it. The deepest part of MS is not just about the disease, it's about how it affects people's minds, hearts, and lives. And that's why understanding MS matters so much. So, what did we learn today? The smallest things in MS, like a tiny protein or a faint tingle, can pack a punch. The biggest thing, the central nervous system and the massive impact on quality of life. The shallowest part, our limited understanding of causes, though Epstein-Barr virus is looking mighty suspicious. And the deepest thing, the complex science and the emotional toll MS takes on people's lives. Don't forget to tune in and listen to the Be Well with MS podcast, available on multiple podcast platforms. For all the details, visit www.bewellwithms.com. I'm Wellbe, helping Dr. Agner behind the scenes. And trust me, I'll be back with more surprises for you soon. Stay curious and stay well. That's a wrap for now. Goodbye until next time. Dr. Agnes Straukin is sending you all best wishes.